After years of pleading with hospitals and universities, doctors at New York University Hospital let Charlie treat patients they couldn't help.
What we did with Charlie was a case series, around 20 some odd patients. We got dramatic results in most of those patients.
Oh my God, they're better. That's freaky. It's like I feel the pain leaving my body.
I find the underlying mechanism so implausible that it would require a huge amount of evidence to convince me that it might happen.
In my experience as a physician, I can honestly say I've never seen something work as fast as what Charlie is doing.
Where does the energy come from?
I don't know the answer to that. There's a lot of theories and people have very strong beliefs.
You feel good?
Charlie can tell you that he can do these things, but he can't tell you why. I can tell you why. That's because he's operating in the realm of darkness.
Charlie's what he calls his gift, and has said to me, I don't even necessarily understand where it comes from, but all I know is that I'm trying to help people with it, and it works.
But I haven't been able to do a push-up in 3 years.
I've been disabled for nearly 12 years, and now I'm not.
I have spent enough time with Charlie to know 100% that his work is real.
How many people get a second chance at life?
Is your gift powerful enough to save lives?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I met Charlie for the first time as a medical resident here in Brooklyn. We started to come up with a protocol that existed for how we would want to introduce Charlie's healing into the patients that existed in the hospital. So we went to the ICU and we found a patient that was in septic shock. She was given a 20% chance of survival. Charlie stopped and said, I can heal an infection. I said, great, show me. And he stood over the patient. He closes his eyes and then, he sticks out his hand, kind of like scans the body. He does 30 seconds of energy, and that was it. He said, okay, I'm done. Patient's healed. Less than 24 hours, patient's infection resolved quicker than it would have been in a natural course of antibiotics. Blood pressure stabilized, heart rate stabilized, respiratory rate stabilized, and I was taken aback, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
He then went on to heal the entire 4th floor of the hospital.
There's a well-accepted principle, the placebo effect, which is patients who believe that the cure they're being given is going to be effective respond well to it. What if you are credibly tested in a way that everybody's satisfied with, and it shows that you're not a man with a gift, you're not a healer, you're just really good at the placebo?
If it is a placebo, so what? So no one else fixed her, and then whatever I did. So it was not a waste of time on her part or mine. So a placebo is not a dirty word in that sense. And this is what the skeptic doctors throw at me: placebo, placebo, quack.
Now, do I think Charlie has a placebo effect? No, I think what he does is far greater than the probability of it being a placebo effect.
So the placebo effect traditionally is 30%. We've described and we've published research that shows an 80% efficacy. There is not very many things in Western medicine that provides 80% efficacy for chronic conditions.
Many people who I've met are not believers in Charlie's work, or are maybe scared to admit that they're believers in Charlie's work, because there needs to be a better scientific explanation for why people are getting better. But Charlie's, you see 80 to 90% improvement in efficacy, and people are non-believers. And that's something that shows to me as a clinician that it's even more real, because the placebo effect is not going to work, in someone who's fighting it.
Holy. Holy. You're like not real.
I met Charlie in 2014. Our beauty director, Emily Doherty, she said, you really should meet this guy. And I'm like, who's this guy? And she said, well, he's an energy healer. And I was like, okay, I'll meet him. But I will say that when I was sort of talking to some of the editors, they were like, oh God, you know, like energy healing, really.
I didn't give a title to what this event is about particularly, but I've been thinking the last few hours, I guess, that for me, it's seeing life through my eyes just for a minute.
But I believed he had a story that would be good for Elle. So I assigned the story to Chip Brown. Journalists like Chipper, like, they're hardcore. He went in, I wouldn't say as a skeptic, but as a journalist, like, let me see it. So Chip begins to follow Charlie as he visits an NYU hospital. You know, Charlie's there with doctors and nurses taking notes. These were very sick people in hospitals, suffering. And there was data at the end of however long he was there that they got better.
Before I met Charlie, I really didn't have significant knowledge about the field of energy healing. I was, of course, skeptical, but he treated about 25 patients with various chronic conditions that we hadn't been able to help. I think one didn't get better. Then in 2024, my son Noah was involved in a serious car accident. He had an intracerebral hemorrhage. He had nausea, vomiting, he couldn't walk straight. He had the typical, what people would know as like concussion syndrome. He had a small bleed in his brain. After a couple weeks, Noah wasn't getting better, so I reached out to Charlie to see if he could help. I called my son right after I got off the phone, and I was like, Noah, are you open to getting energy healed? And I had to convince him to do it. I said, you don't need to leave your bed. He's gonna do it on the phone. He's in California right now, and just humor me for 5 minutes. Charlie couldn't believe Noah's response because he started cursing like, what did you do to me? Like he was going nuts, like he could not believe that his symptoms went away like on a FaceTime. And he's never had a problem since. And it was literally one, 2 or 3 minute FaceTime treatment cured a concussion injury and a bleed in someone's brain.
When the article finally came out, at the very end, he writes about the fact that Charlie helped his daughter with her allergy. It actually worked. It was so well written, I think that people who actually read it could believe it.
I first met Charlie at Walter Reed when the U.S. Army brought him in for a demonstration. And we had a group of people in there. Well, one of them was my buddy, who's a sports medicine doc, who I had played golf with the weekend before. He actually had a shoulder injury, a left shoulder injury at the time. Charlie was going around the room, does anybody else have anything? And he actually said, well, even though he didn't really necessarily believe in what Charlie was doing, said, well, I have this shoulder pain, that I have this injury. I think it's a labrum tear. Charlie worked on him and his shoulder pain went away right then and there. And, a few weeks later when I'm playing golf with him, he still didn't have any shoulder pain. And he said, this is amazing. I don't know how he does it, but there's something there. I think the fact that the Army is even looking into studying the effect of this energy is substantial.
You are open to science taking a look at your results?
Oh, absolutely. That's been my whole aim. I've just been focused on trying to get, scientific studies.
What I've seen based on the data that we published was remarkable. Patients who were on chronic pharmacological therapies that could not function basically leveled their pain at an 8, 9, or 10. 80% of the patients that Charlie intervened went from an 8, 9, or 10 to a 0.
This is an amazing treatment that evokes 0 side effects that really needs to be further studied.
Feels better? Yeah? Okay. The problem is, how do we get Charlie duplicated? Because his vision is to have this mainstream, to have this be available as an arm of medicine.
I'm kind of speechless. It was very strange for me, being a medical professional, to associate an energy healing with a physiologic change.
Once people start to see it and believe it and are treated themselves, hopefully people would stop criticizing him and just pay attention.
I can't explain it. All I can say is I saw it, so therefore I must believe it.
When Charlie came, my fingers were like puffy. They're like going down. Can you explain that?
It's more than just energy medicine for healing a disease. I think it's energy medicine for the soul.
Why doctors or anyone is resistant to the work Charlie does, I can't understand it all. It's not voodoo, it's not hocus pocus, it's human medicine.